Have you ever felt that you pray every day, yet the sky gives no answer? You cry, but your tears only reach the pillow. You keep asking the same question again and again. Jesus, why me? And in return, you receive only silence. That same silence which makes the heart feel even heavier. But maybe that silence itself is the greatest preparation of your life. There was a man who looked fine from the outside, but inside he was completely broken. He had everything, yet he felt that something within him had died. Every night he would sit before Jesus, fold his hands, and say just one thing, "Lord, please save me. I can't endure this anymore." But no miracle happened. The circumstances stayed the same. The pain did not lessen, and this is where his faith began to shake. He started thinking that if Jesus truly existed, why would he have to suffer so much? He did not know that at the very moment he was about to give up, God was shaping him. Jesus never promised that the path would be easy. He only said that whoever holds his hand will find the way. Holding his hand does not mean there will be no pain. It means moving forward, even in pain. In that man's life, something kept breaking every single day. Relationships broke, dreams broke, and most of all, his confidence kept breaking. People laughed at him and said, "He talks so much about God, yet look at his condition." But they did not know that Jesus first breaks a person to free them from lies. One night he was completely shattered. He did not even have the strength left to complain. He said only one last thing, "Lord, if you do not want to give me anything, then at least make me strong enough to endure." And in that very moment, something changed. The situation did not change, life did not change, but he himself began to change. Slowly, he started to understand that Jesus does not give things, he makes a person worthy. Those tears that fell without a sound, those nights when he held himself together, those questions that never received answers, none of it was useless. All of it was preparation. All of it was shaping him into someone who could still stand even after being broken. If today you also feel that God is not listening to you, remember this: Jesus is not silent because he is turned away. He is silent because he is turning you into the answer that will one day change someone else's life. This story has just begun. Ahead, you will see how, when a person is completely broken, Jesus helps him stand again. When a person breaks, it is not on the outside, it is the inside that becomes silent. He laughs, he talks, he walks, but within him there is a tiredness that no one can see.
That same person remembers Jesus every day, but now the question is changed. Now he does not ask why he was given pain. Now he asks whether he is truly becoming strong or just learning to live with it. He began to understand that pain is not only punishment, many times pain is direction. Jesus does not give immediate relief to everyone, because if relief comes, a person stops. But if the strength to endure is given, a person moves forward. And Jesus does not want to see a person standing still. He wants to see them walking. A strange change started to come into that man's life. The sorrow was still the same, but now it could not break him. The situations were the same, but they no longer frightened him. The things that once made him fall were now forcing him to think. He began to realize that maybe God was not changing his life, but was making him worthy of that life. Sometimes he looked back and thought that if all this had ended earlier, maybe he would not have become such a deep person today. He started to understand that Jesus does not give everyone what they ask for. Instead, he turns them into someone who becomes worthy of receiving it. People were still the same, the taunts were still the same, the questions were still the same, but now the difference was that those words no longer reached his heart, because now his trust was not in people, but in Jesus. And when trust is in God, a person no longer needs to prove himself. Many nights came when he broke again, cried again, questioned again. But now, after every breaking, he held himself together more than before. He now knew that if Jesus was allowing him to fall, it did not mean that he had let go of his hand. Allowing someone to fall and abandoning them are two very different things. Slowly, he realized that God's greatest grace is not the thing that we receive, but the strength through which we learn to live even without receiving it. And that strength is what turns an ordinary person into someone extraordinary. If even today, despite having everything, something in your life still feels incomplete, if you too are thinking that there is no answer to your prayers, then remember this: Jesus often does not answer in words. He answers through change. And when change begins, the pain does not end, but the fear does. This journey will go even further. More truths will be revealed. More tests will come. Because when Jesus chooses a person, he prepares them first, so that when they stand, they can become a light not just for themselves, but for others as well. Time passed, and that man understood one thing clearly: remembering Jesus every day and becoming strong every day are not the same. There are many days when the heart becomes weak again, when old wounds reopen without reason, and when the mind asks that if I am on the right path, why does everything feel so heavy? But now he knew that heaviness is not a sign that he is wrong. Many times it is a sign that he is moving closer to the truth. He realized that Jesus never keeps a person in one place.
If a person stays still, something inside them begins to die. That is why Jesus kept placing him in uncomfortable situations again and again. He took him onto paths where trust could be placed only in God, where neither money works, nor people, nor experience, only faith. Many times he thought, I wish Jesus would clearly tell me once what is going to happen next. But then he understood that if God revealed everything in advance, a person would not need faith at all. And Jesus does not want information from a person. He wants faith. He noticed that the things he once fought for no longer felt that important, and the things he once ignored now felt the most precious. His heart was slowly changing. He began to complain less and understand more. He began to ask for less and accept more. One day he questioned himself, is enduring all this what life really is? And within that very question, he found the answer as well. Life is not about enduring. Life is about becoming. And in the process of becoming, pain is inevitable. Jesus does not remove that pain. He gives it meaning. Now when he broke, he did not curse himself. He had come to understand that breaking is not weakness, it is preparation. Every break was pulling a fear out from within him. Every fall was teaching him that there is no need to fear the ground, because rising begins from there. People started questioning his changing mindset. Some said he had become cold. Some said he had become emotionless. But the truth was that he had not stepped away from emotions. He had stepped out of illusions. Now he did not take everyone's words to heart, because his heart was now in the hands of Jesus. He also began to understand that God's plan does not always arrive with noise. It often takes shape quietly, just like a seed remains silent beneath the soil, yet in that silence one day it becomes a tree. In the same way, Jesus first grows a person from within, so that when they appear on the outside, no storm can shake them. If today you also feel a change happening within you, if it feels like you are not the same person you used to be, do not be afraid. This is not loss, this is becoming. Jesus is breaking the old you so that the new you can stand. And when that new version stands, it will not live only its own story, it will become hope for someone else. This journey is still ongoing. More tests will come, more depth will be revealed. Because when Jesus prepares a person, he never does the work halfway. That man had now understood that it is not necessary to feel strong every day. There are many days when a person simply stands still, unable to move forward, unable to go back. Earlier, he used to see these days as defeat, but now he knew that these are the days when Jesus is working the most.
He realized that God never teaches a person everything at once. He breaks life into small lessons so that a person does not break, but continues to understand. The one who wants to gain everything at once often ends up losing himself, and the one who becomes slowly is the one who lasts. Many times he wondered why his prayers seemed incomplete. Then he understood that many prayers remain unanswered because their answer is time. Jesus does not answer every question immediately, because for every answer, a person must be ready. Now he had stopped fearing the eyes of people. He understood that those who do not understand your process will never understand your results. And Jesus had taught him this, that if you want to walk on my path, do not expect applause from the crowd. Slowly, a sense of peace began to rise within him, a peace that did not come from changed circumstances, but from a changed perspective. Pain still came, but it no longer created fear, because he had come to trust that whatever Jesus was allowing had a purpose. He also learned that answers do not always come from the outside. Many times the answer grows within a person. When someone begins to listen to themselves, they start to hear the voice of God. And in that voice there is not fear, there is direction. He had now accepted that his story was not just his own. Every fall, every tear, every struggle could become a path for someone else. That was why Jesus was preparing him so deeply, because a person who holds others up must first break and learn to stand again himself. If today your life is also at a point where you cannot see the road ahead, do not panic. Seeing the path is not necessary. Walking is. Jesus does not light up the entire road at once. He only shows the next step. This story will go even further. More layers will be revealed, because when Jesus enters a person's life, he does not change them halfway. He makes them completely new. That man had now accepted that running from every pain is not necessary. Some pains do not chase you. They walk beside you, so that you do not lose your way. Earlier, he was always in a hurry to escape every problem, but now he had learned that the person who escapes too quickly often remains incomplete.
He also began to understand that Jesus does not test a person by their strength, but by their truth. When a person stops pretending to be strong, that is when God begins to work within them. And perhaps that is why Jesus kept placing him in situations where he could no longer hide himself. Many times he asked himself if this path was truly right, if such deep loneliness could also be part of a plan. And every time he felt this realization that what gets lost in a crowd can only be found again in solitude. Jesus does not make a person lonely to punish them, but so they can hear themselves. Now even his relationships were beginning to change. Some people drifted away on their own, and some came who stood by him without questions. He understood that God does not send everyone into our lives forever. Some people are only meant to bring us this far, and when their purpose is complete, their leaving is also part of God's plan. He also noticed that when he stopped trying to prove himself, life began to feel lighter. Jesus had taught him that you do not need to answer everyone. The one who understands you will understand even without words, and the one who does not understand will find 1,000 words insufficient. Slowly, a deep trust began to take root within him, a trust that did not shake when circumstances changed. Now, when something went wrong, he did not panic. He had understood that if this was happening, then Jesus was also giving him the strength to handle it. He began to realize that his silence was no longer a weakness. His silence had become his strength, because he had learned that not everything needs to be spoken. Some things are said in silence with Jesus, and those are the words that are heard the most. If today you are also seeing certain relationships breaking in your life, if you feel like you are becoming more alone, do not see it as your defeat. This is your pruning. Jesus is removing from your life what could stop you from moving forward. This journey will continue even further. More truths will come to the surface. Because when a person learns to be honest with themselves, that is when Jesus begins preparing them to stand before the world. That man was now beginning to understand that not every victory is visible. Some victories are known only to God and the person. Earlier, he waited for big success, but now he had started recognizing those small victories, the moments where he once broke down and now learned to hold himself together. He realized that Jesus never shows a person their destination in advance. He only reveals as much as is necessary for today. Because if the entire picture were shown, a person might stop out of fear. And Jesus wants to move a person forward not by fear, but by faith. Now, when he fell, he did not get angry with himself. He had learned that every fall comes carrying a lesson, and if that lesson is understood, the same fall protects you the next time. Jesus does not stop a person from falling. He teaches them how to rise after falling. His prayers had also changed. Earlier, he asked for his circumstances to change. Now he asked for the strength to change himself. Because he had understood that when a person changes, circumstances begin to change on their own. He also knew that not every person can be part of your journey. Some people are only a single page in your story, and if you try to turn every page into a book, you will never move forward. Jesus teaches a person that letting go is also necessary to move ahead. Now his fear was slowly fading, the fear about the future, about people, about himself, because he had come to trust that the one who brought him this far would also take him forward. Many times he felt that his efforts were not being seen by anyone, but then he remembered that Jesus never prepares a person for the eyes of people. He prepares them for their purpose, and purpose does not always arrive with noise. He also learned that being right every time is not necessary. Many times, living in peace is more important than proving yourself right. Jesus does not ask a person how many arguments they have won. He asks how many times they have been able to forgive themselves. If today you also feel that your hard work is not bearing fruit, that your silent efforts are going unnoticed, remember this: Jesus sees the work done in secret first, and what he sees never goes to waste. This journey is not over yet. More understanding will come. More strength will be given. Because when Jesus lifts a person up, he also frees them from the fear of falling. That man was now beginning to feel that the hardest battle is not outside. The hardest battle is within. External circumstances are only tests. The real test is how a person fights their own mind. Earlier, his mind used to frighten him, weaken him, but now he was learning to understand it. He realized that Jesus does not want a person to be perfect. He wants a person to be honest. When a person accepts their weaknesses, that is when God begins to make them strong. False strength does not impress God, but true weakness touches him. Now he no longer ran from his past. Earlier, he used to remember what had happened and blame himself, but now he had learned that the past is not meant to be remembered, it is meant to be learned from. Jesus does not define a person by their mistakes, he defines them by their repentance. He began to understand that everyone's pain is different, but the purpose of pain is the same, not to break a person, but to transform them. And the one who becomes ready to change finds that even pain becomes a teacher. Now, when something hurt him, he did not react immediately. He paused, reflected, and asked himself whether this reaction would take him closer to the person Jesus wanted him to become, and many times he chose silence. He also began to understand that forgiveness is not for others, forgiveness is for oneself. When he forgave, he did not set the other person free, he made himself lighter, and that lightness brought him closer to God. Now his faith was no longer visible only in words, it was visible in his actions. He spoke less and lived more, because he had understood that Jesus is not recognized by speeches, but by transformation. If today you are also fighting a battle within yourself, if your mind keeps pulling you backward again and again, remember this: you are not alone. Jesus is standing with you in that very battle. And the day you learn to trust God instead of your mind, that day your true victory will begin. This journey will go even deeper. More truths will come to light, because when a person learns to win the battle within, that is when Jesus prepares them to stand and fight in the world. That man had now understood that faith does not mean fear will never come. Faith means that even when fear comes, a person does not stop. Earlier, he used to run from fear. Now he had learned to walk with fear, and that difference was changing him. He realized that Jesus never keeps a person trapped in their past. No matter how heavy the past may be, God always calls a person forward. A person grows tired of constantly looking back, but Jesus teaches them to walk while looking ahead. Now he also knew that every day is not the same. Some days are filled with faith, and some days move forward only on patience, and Jesus is equally present on both kinds of days. He does not come only on the days when a person feels strong. He is also present on the days when a person is just barely standing.
He began to understand that God's timing often does not match human timing. When a person wants things quickly, God wants depth, because things received quickly do not change a person, but things received through depth make a person lasting. Now it also became clear to him that every closed door is not rejection. Many times it is protection. Jesus closes those paths that could harm a person, even if at that moment the harm is not understood. He felt that when God stops something, in return he adds something within a person: patience, understanding, humility, and a strength that works without being seen. Now there was a calmness in his prayers. He no longer felt the need for many words. Many times he would simply sit in silence, and that silence became his truest prayer, because he had understood that Jesus listens to the heart more than to words. If today something in your life has also come to a halt, if you feel that the path forward has been blocked, believe this: Jesus is not stopping you, he is protecting you. And what God protects, he also leads forward at the right time. This journey will move even further ahead. More layers will be revealed, because when a person learns to trust, Jesus also teaches them the meaning of waiting. That man was now beginning to understand that waiting is the hardest form of prayer. Asking is easy, enduring is difficult. And Jesus often teaches a person what is most difficult, because that is what makes them the strongest. Earlier, he used to think that if God was not answering, maybe he was not listening. But now he had realized that many times not receiving an answer is also an answer. Jesus is not silent because he is distant. He is silent because he is working within. He also came to know that God's work is not always visible. Just as roots spread beneath the soil, in the same way change happens quietly within a person. From the outside, it may seem like nothing is changing, but on the inside, an entire world is taking shape. Now he no longer ran from himself. When loneliness came, he did not try to suppress it. He sat with it, felt it, and searched for God within that very feeling, because he had understood that Jesus is often found in the place where a person stops running from themselves. He had also understood that not every question has an answer in words. Some answers are hidden in experience. And when a person walks through those experiences, they come to understand truths that even 1,000 sermons cannot explain. Now when he saw others breaking, he did not judge them quickly, because by breaking himself, he had learned that the one who looks weak on the outside is often fighting the hardest battle on the inside. Jesus allows a person to see pain so that they can learn compassion. A new sensitivity had grown within him. He began to feel the pain hidden behind people's words. And this change did not create noise within him. It quietly kept shaping him into a better human being. If today you are also going through a season of waiting, if it feels like your life has come to a standstill, remember this: stillness is also a process. Jesus never wastes time. What feels like delay to you is actually preparing you. This story is not finished yet. More lessons will come. More depth will be revealed, because when a person learns to wait, that is when Jesus gives them an understanding of the right time. That man had now started to feel that the change happening within him was testing him completely before appearing on the outside, like an old shell breaking before a new form is born. And that breaking is painful, but within that very breaking, a new identity is born. He had come to understand that Jesus does not shape a person according to the crowd. He shapes them according to purpose, and purpose is often lonely. That is why those who walk this path often have to learn to speak with themselves. Now he no longer ran from his decisions. Earlier, after every mistake, he used to condemn himself. But now he had learned that a mistake does not mean failure. A mistake means one more opportunity to learn. And Jesus turns every lesson into preparation for what lies ahead. He also began to understand that not every day will be filled with enthusiasm.
Some days move forward only through discipline, and those are the days that matter the most. Because when emotions fade, the person who continues through discipline is the one who truly changes. Now he was realizing that his trust was no longer in circumstances. His trust was in the truth that no matter what the situation was, he was not alone. The presence of Jesus was no longer dependent on feelings. It had become a certainty. He understood that God does not always fill a person with comfort. He fills them with meaning. Comfort can end, but meaning keeps a person from breaking. And when life gains meaning, even difficulties become bearable. Now he no longer came to his prayers with fear. He came with acceptance. Whatever was, however it was, he placed it before God just as it was, because he had learned that Jesus connects with not pretense, but with truth. If today you are also going through a phase where you feel yourself changing, but cannot understand whether it is good or bad, do not be afraid. This is the stage where the old you is being left behind, and the new you is taking shape. And in this process, Jesus is with you every moment. This journey will move even further ahead. More layers will be revealed, because when a person stops being afraid of change, that is when Jesus leads them to their true form. That man could now clearly feel that he was no longer the person he once was. His thinking had changed, his reactions had changed, and most importantly, his patience had changed. The things that once shook him to his core now only made him pause and reflect, and that change was real strength. He began to understand that Jesus does not calm a person by giving answers, he steadies them by giving understanding. Answers end questions, but understanding transforms a person, and Jesus values transformation more. Now he also knew that proving yourself right every time is not necessary. Many times, staying silent, stepping back, or walking away from an argument is not defeat, it is protection of the soul. Jesus does not teach a person to fight, he teaches them to choose what truly matters and what is better to let go.
He no longer tried to hide his pain, not to impress people and not to lie to himself. He had accepted that pain was a part of his story, but not the entire story. And that acceptance was slowly making him lighter. Now when he looked back, he no longer felt complaints, he felt gratitude. Gratitude even for the tears that fell without sound, for the nights when he held himself together, and for the questions that never received answers, because now he understood that those very moments had brought him here. He had also begun to realize that Jesus does not take everyone straight to the heights. He first leads them into depth, because the one who has not passed through depth cannot carry the height. And Jesus never lifts anyone halfway. Now his faith no longer waited for a miracle. His faith rested in this truth, that whether a miracle happens or not, God is with him. And that faith kept him standing every day. If today you are also at a place where you feel you have endured a lot, let go of a lot, remember this: Jesus never lets anyone's endurance go to waste. What you have endured today will become someone else's strength tomorrow. This story will continue to move forward. More layers will be revealed, because when a person chooses gratitude over complaint, that is when Jesus begins to lead them to the place where their pain turns into purpose. That man now felt that the peace within him had not come from improved circumstances, but from understanding himself. Earlier, he lived each day hoping that something would change, but now he lived with the trust that what is happening is teaching him how to move forward. He began to understand that Jesus does not remove pain completely from a person's life. He saves pain from being meaningless. The pain that once came to break him was now giving him direction. And that was the difference between the old man and the new one. Now he no longer felt small when he saw others succeed, because he had come to know that every journey is different. Jesus does not lead anyone by copying another. He prepares each person at their own pace. Comparison ends where understanding begins. He also learned that moving forward does not always look like progress on the outside. Many times, moving forward happens on the inside. When a person fears a little less, struggles a little less with anger, and feels a little less bound by the past, that is real progress. Now there was a depth in his prayers. He no longer asked God what he would receive, he asked what he was becoming. And that question had changed him from within. Because things that are received can fade with time, but the person you become is what truly lasts. He had also come to understand that Jesus leads a person beyond their limits, but not all at once. He takes them step by step to a place where even they are surprised by how much they endured, how far they have come. Now, when a problem arose, he no longer panicked like before. He paused, took a breath, and told himself that if this has come before me, then I am also being made capable of handling it. And that thought protected him from breaking. If today you also feel that you have changed a lot, but the world has not yet seen that change, do not be discouraged. Jesus completes his work within first. The outer timing comes on its own, and what appears on the outside is always the result of the truth formed on the inside. This journey will grow even deeper. More understanding will come. Because when a person learns to accept themselves, that is when Jesus draws them closer to their purpose. Now that man had begun to see clearly that the change within him was not making him separate from others, but useful for others. Earlier, he was tangled in his own pain. Now that same pain was giving him the ability to understand people. And this was the point where his story was no longer just his own. He realized that Jesus does not prepare a person only for themselves. He shapes them so that they can become hope in someone else's life. And the one who has stood after being broken is the one who can truly hold another. Now, when someone came to him carrying their pain, he did not rush to give advice. He listened first, because he had understood that not every broken person needs answers. They need understanding. And this understanding is what Jesus had already taught him. He also knew that helping everyone is not his responsibility, but wherever God sends him, his heart must be clean. Jesus does not ask about numbers. He looks at intention. One sincere presence carries more strength than many speeches. Now he was beginning to understand that his pain was not pulling him backward, it was pushing him forward. The situations he had passed through were now becoming his identity, and this identity was built not on appearance, but on truth. He no longer saw his experiences as a burden. He began to see them as a responsibility, because he knew that if God had shown him this path, there must be a reason for it. Now his trust had grown deeper. He did not need to prove that God was with him. He simply knew. And that knowing kept him calm, even if the outside world did not understand. If today you also feel that whatever has happened in your life cannot be only for you, then you are feeling it right. Jesus never breaks a person without purpose. Behind every breaking, there is hope meant for someone else. This journey has now reached a new turn. More responsibilities will come. Because when a person learns to hold themselves together, Jesus makes them capable of holding others. Now a new understanding was settling into that man's life. He had realized that every calling does not arrive with noise. Many times, Jesus quietly chooses a person for a responsibility, and the person realizes it only after they are already walking that path. He began to understand that helping does not always mean giving solutions. Many times, simply standing beside someone is the greatest service. Jesus did not touch crowds, he touched hearts, and that same way was now flowing into his life. Now he neither saw himself as small, nor did he fall into pride, because he had seen that whatever was within him was not his own earning, it was the result of his process, and that process was in the hands of Jesus. He also knew that not every day is meant for a big task. Some days are simply meant to be lived honestly, and Jesus strengthens a person's foundation through those very days. The one who chooses right every day is the one who can do the right work at the right time. Now, when he felt tired,
He did not see it as weakness. He saw it as a reminder that he is human, not God, and that humility kept him grounded. He had also come to understand that not every door needs to open. Some doors staying closed are what keep a person moving in the right direction. What Jesus holds back often becomes protection later on. Now there was no burden in his silence. There was peace in it.
Because he had learned that not everything needs to be said. What is true speaks on its own when the time comes. If today you also feel that you are doing the right things quietly, without noise, and no one seems to notice, do not stop. Jesus never works for show. What he forms in secret, he reveals at the right time. This journey is now moving into its next phase. What all this preparation was for will soon come forward. Because when a person begins to see responsibility not as a burden, but as service, that is when Jesus moves them ahead. Now that man had reached a place where looking back did not scare him, and looking ahead did not make him restless. He had learned that at every turn, answers are not necessary. Many times, trust alone is enough. And that trust had begun to show in his walk, in his words, and in his silence. He realized that Jesus never lifts a person to heights suddenly. He first makes them steady, because a person who is not steady will fall even after reaching height. And Jesus does not lift people to make them fall. He lifts them so they can stand. Now, when someone praised him, he did not get lost in it. And when someone ignored him, he did not break, because he had learned that his worth is not decided by people's opinions, but by God's eyes. He had also understood that the emptiness in his story was now the very space God was beginning to fill with purpose. The questions that once troubled him were now guiding him, and that change was the real miracle. Now his prayers had become very simple. No excessive asking, no excessive complaining, just this: Lord, keep me right. Because he had learned that becoming the right person is a far greater blessing than receiving the right things. He knew that not every day would feel inspiring. Many days would be ordinary, but those ordinary days were his true test, because the person who remains true on ordinary days does not waver on difficult ones. Now, when he saw others moving ahead, he did not feel jealousy. He had come to know that everyone has their own time. Jesus is never late. He only chooses the right time. If today you are also at a place where there is neither great pain nor great happiness, only a quiet understanding, do not take it lightly. This is the place where a person stops running and starts becoming, and this is the place Jesus loves the most. This journey is still continuing. More responsibilities will come, and even more depth will be revealed. Because when a person learns to hold themselves steady, Jesus moves them forward to become stability in the lives of others. Now that man was beginning to understand that the greatest change in life comes when a person steps out of the race to prove themselves. Earlier, he lived every day thinking he had to become something to show the world, but now he was simply trying to live as the right person, and that effort was setting him free from within. He realized that Jesus separates a person from the crowd not to make them lonely, but to clarify their identity. As long as a person stays in noise, they cannot hear themselves, and the voice of Jesus is always heard within. Now he did not fight his fear, he understood it. He had learned that fear is not an enemy. Fear is a signal that something important is here, something that must be crossed. And every time he moved forward despite fear, his faith grew deeper. He also knew that the right path is not always easy. Many times the right path is the one walked alone, where there is no applause, but the soul remains at peace. And Jesus teaches a person to choose the path where the soul is safe. Now his mistakes no longer defined him. He accepted them, learned from them, and moved forward, because he had understood that Jesus does not ask how many times you fell. He looks at how many times you stood back up. His life had now settled into simplicity, fewer desires, fewer complaints, and more gratitude.
He had learned that being right matters more than having more, and that sense of being right was making him stronger every day. Now, when he remembered God, he did not do so with fear, but with trust, because he had felt that Jesus was with him not on conditions, but in every circumstance. If today you are also in a phase where you feel lighter, where the rush of life does not disturb you the way it once did, understand this: you are changing. This is not laziness, this is steadiness, and it is the steady person that Jesus chooses for greater responsibilities ahead. This journey will become even clearer now. More paths will open, because when a person becomes honest with themselves, Jesus makes them honest with their destination as well. Now that man had begun to feel that his very presence was becoming comfort for some people. He did not speak much, nor did he explain much, yet people felt lighter just by sitting near him. And this was the effect Jesus was quietly shaping. He had understood that God does not give everyone a stage. He makes some people support. And to become support, noise is not needed. Steadiness is. That steadiness was now visible in his eyes, his words, and his behavior. Now he no longer tried to fix someone's problem immediately. He chose to be present first, because he had learned that not every wound needs to be healed instantly. Many wounds simply need to be understood. He had also understood that Jesus does not ask a person for big words, but for small, honest actions. Actions that may or may not be seen by others, but are right. And those very actions slowly become a person's identity. Now, when someone praised his goodness, he did not claim it as his own. He knew that whatever was within him was the result of his journey, and that journey had been guided by Jesus. He also knew that not every day arrives for a great test. Many days come simply to see whether a person can remain true even in small decisions.
In those days do the real building. Now his heart had become softer than before. He was less harsh, less judgmental, and tried more to understand, because he had seen that harshness never truly heals anyone, but understanding often changes lives. If today you also feel that people are drawn to you without reason, that your silence gives them peace, do not take it lightly. Jesus often chooses those who do not have all the answers, but have warmth in their presence. This journey will now grow even deeper. More people will come along, because when a person learns to hold themselves together, Jesus makes them a way for others to lay down their fatigue. Now that man could clearly see that the peace he had found within had become his true identity. He no longer measured himself by the noise of the world. He knew that what is steady on the inside is what stands firm on the outside, and that steadiness was what was setting him apart. He understood that Jesus prepares a person in solitude before placing them before the crowd, because the one who does not break in loneliness will not scatter in the crowd. His preparation was no longer visible in people's eyes, it was visible in his character. Now he did not see his past pain as a burden. He knew that the same pain had become his language, a language that could reach broken hearts even without words. And this was the language Jesus had taught him. He also understood that he does not have the strength to help everyone, and that this is not his responsibility either. But where his heart is drawn, his stopping there is never without a reason. Jesus never pauses a person without purpose. Now, when he felt tired, he allowed himself to stop. He had learned that stopping is not defeat. Stopping is taking care of oneself, and the one who can care for themselves is the one who can truly care for others. His life had now found balance between work and rest, between speaking and silence, between giving and preserving. That balance did not exhaust him. It gave him the strength to keep going for a long time. He also understood that Jesus never asks a person to serve at the cost of their soul. If a person breaks themselves, their service becomes a burden.
That is why Jesus first makes a person whole and only then sends them forward. If today you also feel that you no longer jump into everything, that you move with choice and intention, understand this: you are maturing. This is not coldness, this is wisdom, and wisdom is what Jesus values the most. This journey is now entering its next form. New challenges will come, but the person is no longer the same as before, because the one whom Jesus has made steady from within cannot be knocked down by outside storms. Now that man had understood that not every step forward makes noise. Many of the greatest steps are taken quietly. From the outside, it may look like nothing special has changed, but on the inside, an entire world has shifted into place, and that inner change was now guiding his path. He realized that Jesus does not give a person a new life all at once. He makes them new little by little every day, so they can change without losing themselves. Because a change that breaks a person is never God's way. Now he no longer ran from himself. When fear arose, he did not suppress it. He looked at it, understood it, and then moved forward. He had learned that fear does not need to disappear. What matters is learning to move forward despite it.
He no longer made decisions in haste. He had learned that it is not necessary to grab every opportunity. It is necessary to wait for the right one. And this waiting no longer troubled him because his trust was no longer placed in timing, but in God. He could now see clearly that the things he once cried for, even if he had received them, might have kept him from becoming who he is today. Many times, what we do not receive is the greatest protection. Jesus did not give him what he wanted. He made him someone worthy of receiving. Now he felt a responsibility within himself, not a responsibility of position or name, but of the truth he had lived. He knew that his life was no longer just his own. His patience, his silence, his understanding could become a path for someone else. He also understood that Jesus does not lift a person so they can look higher than others, but so they can lift those who are bowed down. And this purpose had now settled into his every thought. Now, when he looked at himself, he did not feel pride, he felt peace, because he had learned that reaching the right place is not as important as becoming the right person. If today you are also at a point where your life feels calmer, your questions are fewer, and your trust is growing deeper, understand this: you are entering the next phase of Jesus' preparation. This is not the end, this is a steady beginning. This journey will move even further ahead, but now the person is no longer the same as before, because the one whom Jesus has changed from within cannot be stopped from making a difference in the world. Now that man began to feel that the steadiness he carried inside was pulling him toward the next responsibility. It was not pressure, it was a natural calling, as if something within was saying that what you have received is no longer meant to be held back, it is meant to be shared. He had understood that after preparing a person, Jesus never leaves them empty. He brings them to a place where their presence becomes necessary for someone else. And this was the moment when his story began turning into service. Now, when he saw a broken person, their pain did not feel like a burden to him. That pain felt like a responsibility. He knew that not everyone can be saved, but no one should be left alone. And many times, simply walking alongside someone becomes the greatest support. He also realized that helping is not always easy. Many times, the one who helps also gets tired. But Jesus does not teach a person to erase themselves. He teaches them to stand for others while taking care of themselves. Now he chose his words very carefully, because he had seen that one true word spoken at the right time can have more impact than years of silence, and even a true word spoken at the wrong time can break someone. He had also come to know that Jesus does not send a person everywhere. He sends them where their story can be understood, because where the language of pain is not understood, hope also goes unheard. Now there was a balanced firmness in his life, not overly emotional, not overly harsh. He had learned that to hold a person together, both heart and understanding are needed, and now both were walking side by side within him. If today you also feel that your life is slowly turning you toward others, that you are feeling more responsibility than before, do not panic. This is not a burden, this is trust. Jesus places trust only in the one he has first made strong from within. This journey is now moving toward its next purpose. More tests will come and more choices will need to be made, because when a person becomes a path for others, Jesus shows them an even clearer path. Now moments had begun to appear in that man's life where listening mattered more than speaking. Earlier he searched for answers, now he had learned to sit with questions. And he realized that many times Jesus does not give answers because the question itself is enough to change a person. He had begun to understand that not every help is immediately visible. Some help is like a seed. It sprouts only when the right time comes. Jesus does not ask a person for results. He asks for faithfulness. He chooses the timing of results himself. Now, when he listened to someone's pain, he did not rush to fix it. He had learned that it is not our responsibility to mend every broken thing, but standing beside what is broken can sometimes be our responsibility. He had also come to understand that Jesus does not use a person in crowds. He uses them in relationships. More than a big stage, a true word spoken in a small room has greater impact. And his story was now touching lives in those very small rooms. He also realized that when a person serves, their ego is tested first, and if ego survives, service becomes hollow. Jesus teaches humility before service. Now even his fatigue had changed. Earlier, fatigue made him irritable. Now, fatigue made him careful. He had learned that stopping is necessary so that one can stand again in the right place. He also understood that it is not necessary for everyone to understand his understanding. Some people will question his intentions, some will question his methods, but he had learned that when the purpose is clear, noise can be endured along the journey. If today you also feel that even while doing the right thing, you are not being understood, that your intentions are being questioned, remember this: Jesus himself was the most misunderstood, and yet he never left the path of truth.
This journey will now be tested even more. Greater patience will be required ahead. Because when a person stands in the right place, that is where the most questions arise. Now decisions began to appear before him where he had to choose between what was right and what was easy. Earlier, he used to accept what was easy as right, but now he had learned that the right path is often lonely. And Jesus teaches a person not to fear loneliness, but to learn from it. He had come to understand that not every opportunity comes from God. Some opportunities come to test a person, some to distract them, and only the one who has found peace within can make the right choice. Because an unsettled mind often runs after shine and noise. Now he had begun to take responsibility for his decisions. He no longer blamed God nor circumstances. He had learned that Jesus shows the path, but walking it is the responsibility of the person. And this very walking was making him mature. He also began to understand that truth does not always bring applause. Many times, truth makes a person lonely, but that same loneliness brings them closer to the person they are meant to become. Now, when someone refused to understand him, he did not waste energy trying to explain himself. He had learned that those who are not ready to listen cannot be made to understand. Jesus also spoke the truth to everyone, but he never forced it upon anyone. There was now a clarity in his life, less confusion, less inner conflict, and clearer decisions.
This clarity was not making him harsh, it was making him steady. He had also learned that not every right decision brings immediate comfort. Many times, the right decision brings long-lasting pain, but that very pain eventually leads a person to the right place. If today you are also at a point where the right path feels difficult and the easy path feels tempting, pause and ask yourself whether you want comfort now or peace in the future. Jesus always leads a person toward peace, even if the path is hard. This journey will become even clearer ahead. More choices will come, because when a person learns to choose right, Jesus prepares them for greater responsibility. Now moments began to appear in that man's life where he could fully feel the weight of his decisions. Choosing right was not easy, but he had also learned that the habit of choosing right makes a person strong from within. Every time he chose what was right, he felt a deeper steadiness growing inside him. He began to understand that Jesus does not only teach right and wrong, he also teaches timing and wisdom. Not every truth needs to be spoken at every moment. Even the right words, if spoken at the wrong time, can become a cause of breaking. And this understanding was now reflected in his silence. Now he trusted his actions more than his words. He had seen that with time, actions speak for themselves. Jesus also taught through his life, not just through sermons, and this way was now becoming his identity.
He had also learned that walking on the right path does not mean difficulties will disappear. Many times, the difficulties become even clearer. The difference is that now he no longer ran from them, he accepted them and moved forward. Now, when someone questioned his intentions, he did not shake from within, because his intention was no longer for himself, it was for purpose. And when purpose is clear, noise loses its power. He had also understood that not every success is meant to be seen. Some successes are hidden within a person's character. Doing what is right, even when no one is watching, that is true success. If today you also feel tired while doing the right thing, if the road feels long, remember this: tiredness is a sign that you are on the path. Jesus never promises that the right road will be short, he makes it meaningful. This journey is now moving toward its final stages. More truths will be revealed ahead. Because when a person stands firmly on their values, Jesus leads them to a place where their life itself becomes a message. Now that man could clearly feel that his life was no longer driven by questions, but by values. Earlier, at every turn, he asked, "What will I get?" Now he asked, "What am I becoming?" And that question was guiding every step he took. He had understood that Jesus does not intoxicate a person with success. He gives them an understanding of responsibility. Because intoxication fades, but responsibility keeps a person grounded. And that ground is what protects a person from falling. Now, when an opportunity came to him, he did not look only at its shine. He looked at whether that opportunity stood aligned with his values or not. He had learned that anything which breaks you from within, no matter how big it looks, is not meant for you. He also knew that moving forward does not always mean moving fast. Many times the right pace is slow. Because Jesus does not teach a person to run, he teaches them to endure. And the impact of a steady person reaches far. Now the fear that if he stayed silent he would be forgotten was gone. He had understood that someone who is true does not need to prove themselves. Time itself becomes their witness. He had fully accepted his past now, not with shame, not with regret. He knew that everything that had happened was part of his preparation, and the one who has passed through preparation does not run away from responsibility. If today you also feel that your life is moving away from show and toward peace, know this: it is not weakness, it is maturity. And it is the mature whom Jesus later entrusts with work of trust. This journey is now moving toward its closing. Final truths will come to light ahead, because when a person stands firmly on their values, Jesus leads them to a place where their life itself becomes direction for others.
That man had now fully accepted that the stability in his life was not an accident. It was the result of all the choices he made when no one was watching. Jesus does not shape a person on the stage. He shapes them behind the curtain, and that shaping had now become his backbone. He understood that true faith is tested when no one is clapping, when a person does what is right simply because it is right, not because it will be praised. And this was the place where his faith had moved beyond words. Now he recognized his fear, but he did not let it lead him. Fear would come, but it would not make decisions. Decisions were now made by understanding, and that understanding was something Jesus had planted within him over time. He also learned that it is not necessary to hold on to every relationship. Letting go of some relationships with respect is the right thing for both sides. Jesus teaches a person how to hold on and also how to let go, so they do not become a prisoner of emotions. Now there was less noise in his life and more clarity, less confusion and more steadiness. He had learned that when things are clear on the inside, the fog on the outside does not last long. He also understood that his journey was neither faster nor slower than anyone else's. It was simply his own. Comparison had become meaningless to him, because Jesus had taught him that the right direction matters more than the right speed. Now, when he thought about the future, he did not feel fear. He trusted that the one who brought him this far would also open the way ahead, and that trust prepared him for every new day. If today you also feel a place where you do not overthink but choose what is right, where you do not need answers to everything but only the right direction, understand this: you are being prepared. Jesus calls a person to the next step through this very piece. This journey is now close to its final turn. Ahead, a truth will be revealed that connects everything.
Because when a person becomes clear from within, Jesus also shows them a clear path on the outside. That man had now deeply understood that his entire journey was not about reaching a destination, but about becoming a person, the person Jesus had been shaping within him from the very beginning. That form was now becoming visible, without noise, without display. He had learned that not every blessing shines. Some blessings look very simple, like having the right thought at the right time, staying silent at the wrong time, and not becoming bitter even after being broken. And those blessings had become his greatest wealth. Now he no longer saw himself as higher when he noticed the mistakes of others, because he had seen his own weaknesses, understood them, and walked through them to reach where he was. Jesus does not shape a person through pride, but through deep compassion. He also understood that his story was not entirely his own. At every turn of his life, there was a lesson hidden that could be useful for someone else, and that was why Jesus had prepared him so deeply. Now there was only one feeling left in his prayers: surrender. Not about what would happen, not about when it would happen, only that whatever happens, it keeps him becoming the right person. And that surrender was making him unshakable from within. He had learned that not every day comes for doing something big. Many days come simply to remain right. And the person who stays true even on ordinary days does not waver in extraordinary times. If today you also feel that your life has become very simple, that there is not much noise in it anymore, do not see it as loss. This is stability, and stability is the ground on which Jesus does his strongest work. This journey is now moving toward its final truth. Ahead, an understanding will open that connects everything. Because when a person places themselves fully in God's hands, their life itself becomes a message. Now there was no haste left within that man. He had learned that what is built with time is what stands before time. His journey was no longer hungry for results. It had become steady in its meaning. He had come to understand that Jesus had protected him at every turn, sometimes from people, sometimes from paths, and many times even from himself. What once felt like loss had now become protection. Now, when he looked back, he did not see bitterness. He saw a single line connecting every breaking, every delay, every tear, leading him to this moment. And that understanding kept his heart at peace. He knew that the greatest miracle of his story was not that he fell and rose again, but that even after falling, he remained human, without becoming harsh, without becoming bitter, without losing himself. Now there was a clear certainty within him. He knew what to do and what not to do. Not everything was necessary, and not every voice deserved his attention. Jesus had taught him how to choose. He also understood that true faith does not ask for guarantees about the future. It only asks for trust, that whatever comes, God will be present in it. And that trust had become his greatest strength. If today you are also at a place where you no longer feel the need to control everything, where you know how to let go and how to trust, understand this: you are close to the end. This is not defeat, this is completeness. Now only one thing remained, one final understanding, the understanding that would give meaning to the entire journey. Because when a person understands everything, Jesus reveals the final truth. That man no longer needed proof, neither that God was with him, nor that his journey had been right, because he had learned that the one who becomes calm within has already reached the right place. The greatest presence of Jesus is not found in noise, but in this very peace. He understood that God never took his pain away, but he never let that pain go to waste either. Every tear, every pause, every breaking kept preparing him in one way or another. And today, he was the same person who endured all of it without becoming bitter. Now, when he looked back, he felt no complaints, only gratitude. Gratitude for the nights when no one was beside him, for the questions that never received answers, and even for the moments when he silently chose to trust Jesus, because those moments were his true foundation. He also knew now that God does not give a person what they ask for. He makes them into someone who becomes worthy of receiving. And when a person becomes that, whatever they receive no longer breaks them, it holds them together. Now his life was no longer like a speech, it had become a testimony. Even without words, it was saying that if a person holds on to faith even after breaking, Jesus never leaves them empty-handed. If today you are also going through a season where it feels like God is silent, remember this: He is not silent, He is shaping you, so that when you stand, you do not stand only for yourself, but become hope for someone else. This is the truth of this story. This is the meaning of this journey, and this is the way of Jesus. If this story reached your heart, if you found yourself somewhere in it, then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need it today. Because sometimes, even a story can change someone's life.